So welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K25 Next Gen. In today's video, we are back with another episode of our LeBron Era rebuild series, and today it's going to be the Philadelphia 76ers. This season in Philadelphia was certainly nothing to call home about. This was a team that went 41-41. They did make the playoffs, but they got the absolute belt by Bron and company in round one. Now, this is obviously the pre-processed 76ers, so at this time, they were still trying to win basketball games. They hadn't fully blown this team up. There is some talented players here, and my goal today is to hopefully add some more of those talented players and get this franchise a championship. And as is always the case, let me know any other video ideas down below in the comment section. I have very much been enjoying the LeBron era videos. I think at this point we are just almost about at the halfway point. So I think we've done about 14 or 15 of these. I don't know that for a fact, but of course still got a long way to go. And I am certainly looking to finish out this series this year. So let me know which team you want me to see next, along with anything else, challenges, other series, whatever it may be you guys got for me. I'll certainly look forward to doing that. But let's get into this one. Now here in the year 2010, now we are going to go over this roster, kind of discuss things as is always the case, but I wanted to let you guys know something before we do. What I am doing here today is something I have done in previous eras, in previous videos, likely the same. I am using a custom roster. Said custom roster hypothetically has every single player that, of course, was in the league on respective teams at this time. Now, of course, 2K, when they put out the eras, there are some players missing, some of them more notable than others. Here today with the Sixers, if I use 2K's roster and 2K's era, if you will, Andre Iguodala would not have been on this roster, as of course he was in real life. So, I finally found one that I thought was suitable enough. I had spent several different times trying to find one, and this one seems like it had been my best bet. So if you guys immediately, notice something off, something is different, please let me know down below in the comment section. I, of course, will do my best to fix that going forward. But my plan as of now is to keep this one shared file, and again, just kind of continuously using it as we finish up this series. So if you notice anything big, good, or bad, let me hear it down below. All right, let's talk about this roster. Of course, as I mentioned in the intro, they won 41 games. This was a team that did make the playoffs and ultimately had a bit of direction. There's obviously some talent here, but it was just never really going to be enough to win a championship. So let's discuss it position by position. Jrue Holiday is here. He's 20 years old. He's an 80 overall, of course, turns into a very, very good NBA player for a very, very long time. I am hoping his development goes as I imagine it will, and if it does, he's likely my starting point guard the entire time. Now, the shooting guard spot. They have Iggy listed here at the 2. Whether I play him at the starting shooting guard spot, move him to small forward, that's very up in the air, but at this point in time, he's on a long-term contract and, of course, is our best player. So I like Iggy quite a bit. Is he a number one option? Probably not, but as of now, he kind of is. Behind him, we have Evan Turner here, who's 21, had a nice NBA career, was never a star or anything like that, but definitely going to get some minutes here on this team. Lou Will, elite sixth man for us, likely going to be playing a vast majority of minutes off the bench. Then we have Jody Meeks here, so certainly some nice depth at the shooting guard spot. Move to the small forward spot where we have one guy and one guy only, Jason Capono. That is a user-created Jason Capono, so I'm not exactly sure what his role will be with us here today, but he is certainly here and he is on this team. The power forward spot, kind of similar to shooting guard, a lot of depth here. Elton Brand, who's 31 years old. We have a 22-year-old Thaddeus Young behind him. We got Mo Spates, Darius Sangalia. You got Andres Nocioni? I don't know. Nocioni. Craig Brackens. Again, I know these are real people. I just don't really know much about them, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do. And then finally, the center spot. We have Spencer Hawes and Tony Batty. That's what we're working with there. Of course, this is a position we will definitely be looking to upgrade at some point in time. So, all things considered, it's not a horrible roster or anything like that. I do think there's one or two moves I want to make before we get into year one. Now, the good news is that I scrolled through a lot of these rosters, and it seems like almost none of these teams have any, fake players or anything like that. So, that alone was kind of one of the bigger reasons I wanted to use, a customized roster. And then, of course, Andre Iguodala would have been missing in the other one. So, can't have that. But we're here today. We're going to make some trades before we get into year number one. At this point in time, we currently have no backup point guard on this team behind Jrue Holiday, so we are going to acquire one from the Sacramento Kings. We're sending out Jody Meeks and Jason Capono, sending them to Sacramento in a deal that's going to land us Beno Udrih and Francesco Garcia. Not really familiar with Francesco here, but obviously Beno Udrih is a really solid backup point guard option, of course, is on a multi-year deal as well, and only 28 years old really makes a lot of sense for me. So I understand Jody Meeks is only 23, but ultimately we have a lot of depth at that two-guard spot, and I'm not really terribly worried about it. So welcome to the team. Swinging a deal here with the Houston Rockets. We're going to make a little upgrade at our backup center spot. And for those of you saying, well, who's your starting center? You'll see momentarily. Spencer Hawes, who was on a one-year deal. My thing about trading him, I understand he's only 22 and, of course, becomes, a relatively okay NBA player. I just know for almost a fact that when players are, undrafted, and obviously this is a user-created Spencer Hawes, he's probably going to be an unrestricted free agent. Now, maybe I bring him back, maybe I don't, but I'm almost certain I wouldn't have had bird rights on him, and I'd rather just move on and get the upgrade now. Him and Darius Sangalia, I don't know. Going to Houston, and Chuck Hayes, Brad Miller coming back in return. Now, I'm doing this deal here strictly for Chuck Hayes, who's only 27 years old, is an expiring deal, so similar to Spencer Hawes, and it would definitely be a guy I'd be willing to give some money to long term. I got Brad Miller in a video the other day. He's not going to be on this team. We're going to move him for a draft pick. And if you're wondering, yes, I am playing 6'9" Elton Brand at the center spot. So, maybe a little bit undersized. Ultimately, he did go up one overall. Power forward spot's going to be Thad Young and Mo Spates. Then I'm thinking everybody else is pretty much going to be on this roster kind of long term. At this point in time, I don't really need to force the issue. I've kind of solidified the rotation the way I think it'll work best. So anybody want to give me like CJ Miles? Sure, why the hell not? Just a multi-year deal that could be a trade piece. So Holiday, Beno Udrih, it's going to be Evan Turner, Lou Williams. I moved Iggy to the 3. He actually goes up to an 88. Also moved Francesco Garcia to the 3. He goes up to a 76. Thaddeus Young, Mo Spates, and then finally Elton Brand and Chuck Hayes. So that'll be the team for year one. While I certainly think it's a possibility this team does win more than 41 games, I still don't know if we're quite in, contention or anything like that. So let's set the rotation. Now the start of year one here in Philadelphia. Of course, we ended up making a couple trades, upgrading this team, and I think we're in a pretty good spot moving forward. Here's how it's going to look. Jrue Holiday, Evan Turner, ultimately him and Lou Williams are the same exact overall. Of course, we are very much aware of how both of their careers panned out, and while I would definitely say Lou Will was the better player, I do think we'd have a really big benefit bringing him off the bench. Andre Iguodala will be my starting small forward, and then Thaddeus Young, Elton Brand in my front court bench unit. Beno Udrih will be my sixth man. Lou Will right behind him again, playing the same amount of minutes. It doesn't really matter too much. Chuck Hayes in here as my backup center, Mo Spates the backup power forward, and finally Francesco Garcia rounding it out. So yes, Doug Collins was the head coach of this team. Those ratings are certainly nothing special, and his future will be decided this offseason very likely. But that's the team. I do think it's a playoff team. I just don't 100% think that, we're up there with like the Bulls and the Miami Heat and all those squads. So we'll see how it goes at the end of our first season. As I suspected would be the case, this team ends up being a bit better than they were in real life. Now, of course, 41 wins for this team. Actually, here in 2K, they win 49 games. So a nice 8-game improvement. Ultimately, I still don't know if we were at the top of the top with this guy right here, LeBron James and the Miami Heat. But he's your MVP. Blake Griffin, Rookie of the Year. You got Manu Ginobili winning 6th man. Timmy D wins Depoy. Russ wins Most Improved. Thibs is your Coach of the Year in Chicago. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the standings. You can see where we are right there. We're going to end up being the 5 seed. Battling with Orlando in round 1. Should be a fun matchup. I would say they have the best player in the series, no doubt. And then here's a look at the Western Conference. Let's talk about some of the numbers here real quick for this team. Elton Brand did lead us in scoring, about 16.5 points, about 11 boards a game. Not too bad. Andre Iguodala, Thaddeus Young, Jrue Holiday, Lou Will, Turner, Udrih, Spates, Hayes, and then Garcia. So, we're a very well spread out team, offensively in terms of our scoring output, and that's kind of what I expected. I mean, you look at the makeup of this roster, obviously the guys that are here are, okay players. They're great, not great players, they're good players. None of them are superstars in terms of scoring the basketball. So that's just kind of my thought process. Of course, it's something we'll address in the couple of off seasons we do have, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We got a playoff matchup here with the Orlando Magic. Jameer Nelson, Vince Carter, Rashard Lewis, Anderson, Dwight Howard, Marcin Gortat, Brandon Bass, Michael Petrus. That's a pretty good squad there, and again, definitely have the best player in the series. So we're down 2-1 at this point in time. We are now down 3-1. We force a Game 6. We force a Game 7. We lose that Game 7. Disappointing ending to what I would say was a relatively promising first season. Elton Brand was solid. Really tough series out of Iguodala, at least in terms of scoring. Not a great for Jrue Holiday either. So kind of just is what it is. First round ceiling kind of felt like where this team was supposed to be. Lakers end up winning it all. Technically speaking, they would have gone back-to-back and they would have won. Actually, no, that would have been a three-peat because they won in 09, they won in 10, and this is 2011. So, yep. Kobe Bean Bryant, they end up sweeping the Miami Heat. God, I really wanted that Kobe versus LeBron finals. We never got. All right, it is time for the offseason here. Some names retiring, some staff retiring, historic changes. That's cool. Draft lottery. I don't think we have any picks here. I know obviously ours is not going to be in here, so let's just sim through it. Pistons, Kings, Suns, Bobcats, and then Wizards. Staff signing. All right, Doug Collins is a coaching free agent, if you will. We have about $8.2 million to go out and find a new head coach, and I don't think that would be the worst idea in the world. I'd like to get somebody just a little bit better rating. So could go after Don Nelson. I'll throw some money at him. Could go after Stauffer. I don't really love getting Stauffer almost every video, but at this point our options are pretty limited, unfortunately. So maybe one of them signs. It's just Stauffer. I don't like doing it, but until they put more options in there or until they let me sign assistant coaches for other teams, which for God knows what reason they still don't let you do, I'm pretty much stuck. I mean, I'm not going to sign a dog shit head coach just to mix it up. So I know some people were asking me about that. All right, with the 21st overall pick, it's 2011 draft, obviously a very, very good one. We're not going to be getting a superstar at number 21, but we should be able to get an okay role player. And we already have pretty good depth on this team. So I think we're in a really good spot. Oh, Tobias Harris. Okay, Tobias Harris, definitely not a superstar, but he's more than a quality role player. 76 overall. Okay, Holiday and Spates both going to be brought back. Qualifying Thaddeus Young is going to be a restricted free agent for us. Chuck Hayes is an unrestricted free agent for us. And kind of just like the LeBron era, the 2K made, it's pretty much the same exact free agency class. So, you know, a guy like Carmelo Anthony would be sweet. Unfortunately, not only do we not have the money right now, we, of course, you know, have a lot of players on this team already. So I'm going to be making some trades. Of course, there will be some upgrades coming. And obviously, we do have Iggy at that starting 3 as well. So let's make some moves. Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Chicago Bulls. We made a little upgrade here in our starting front court. Carlos Boozer now going to be a member of the Philadelphia 76ers. We sent out Elton Brand, CJ Miles, Craig Brackens, and our first round pick next year. In return, landed ourselves Boozer. So this is one of those that kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Of course, the Bulls are a really good team at this point in time, so obviously it helps taking one of their better players away, and then, of course, we get a nice upgrade here as well. The reason I moved off of Elton Brand was not really anything to do with him. He had a really solid season for us, but he's 32 years old, entering his age 33 season, and we're all pretty much aware of how 2K regression works. So, you know, Boozer's only, 3-4 years younger. It's nothing crazy, but I don't expect that same regression to hit with him in today's video. So it's a nice upgrade at our power forward spot. Ultimately, we now have a pretty gaping hole at our center position. So, of course, there are a couple more moves to make. I am going to try to find a way to go ahead and bring back Thaddeus Young. Do we have his rights? We do not, but he is restricted, so that's good news. And then I'm also going to offer a contract here to Chuck Hayes, about 3 years. So bring him back. We're going to bring back Thaddeus Young. He'll likely remain the backup, and then we'll just go from there moving forward. So Chuck Hayes, welcome back. He'll remain the backup center. Of course, I'll end up waiting on Thaddeus Young, but at this point, I do need to find myself a starting center. Trying to find a way to add Andrew Bogut to this team. While he's not a superstar, at the center spot, he's definitely a nice upgrade. So we ended up giving up Mo Spates, Andres Nocioni, Francesco Garcia, and 2 future second-round picks. And I think that's our starting center for the rest of this video. So it's a nice addition. He's only 26 years old, of course, is on a multi-year deal. Him and Chuck Hayes will be my 2 centers. Of course, we have Carlos Boozer. Tobias Harris is actually going to be the Andre Iguodala's backup at the 3, and then we're going to wait for Thaddeus Young. So I think we're in a pretty good spot right now. I don't think we, got to the point where we're going to be the best team in the East, but we have certainly made a lot of steps in the right direction. Now, you take a look at everything, especially this backcourt, Drew Holiday, Beno Udrih will remain the 2 guys we have there. Now, I have to be kind of careful with Beno Udrih. He is going to likely decline that player option after this season, but he's probably a guy I'd be willing to give a contract to. I'm going to end up hanging on to both Evan Turner and Lou Williams. I decided not to make an upgrade there yet. I'm going to give them both 1 more season, and then we'll decide. Main reason for that is because they both have multiple years left on their deal. Of course, Iggy, Tobias Harris, we have Boozer. We're going to re-sign Thaddeus Young. I'm blanking on his fucking name, and then Bogut and Chuck Hayes. So I'll wait on Thaddeus Young. I'll match any contract he gets. If not, he'll just be on his qualifying offer. We'll match the 3-year, roughly $16.68 million he got from Memphis. So see you guys at the start of year 2. Now our second season here in Philadelphia. All things considered, year 1 was pretty solid. We won 49 games, had a 7-game round. It is now time to kick off our second season here in Philadelphia. We had a pretty successful offseason. I would say as a whole, year 1 was relatively okay. I mean, I felt like we kind of hit our ceiling in terms of the first round. We went 7 games with a really good Magic team, and we reloaded a bit this offseason. I will definitely say that. So, Drew Holiday developing nicely, now up to an 83. Turner really didn't move a whole lot. I think he was a 76. Now he's 77. Iggy remains my small forward, of course, brought in an entirely new front court here with Carlos Boozer and Andrew Bogut. So excited to see how that works out. Lou Will going to take over fully as the 6th man here, even though he is nowhere near the highest overall. Of course, match the contract Thaddeus Young got from Memphis. Still got Beno Udrih. Chuck Hayes remains the backup center. And finally, Tobias Harris, we just drafted, will be the backup small forward. The other really good news for us is we, of course, have a new head coach. Now, I don't like getting him video after video, but again, I'm not going to get into it. 2K doesn't leave me many options. I would like to be a top 4 seed in the East. I think that is a pretty lofty goal, and I think it is one that is certainly obtainable. So, see you guys at the end of year 2. 52-30 is how we wrap up our second season here in Philadelphia. It's a 3-game improvement year over year, and ultimately still moving in the right direction. So, cannot complain yet. Derrick Rose, going to be your MVP. Kawhi Leonard ended up in Detroit. He's your Rookie of the Year. Steve Nash coming off the bench in Phoenix. Okay, he's got to be 38. Yeah, 38 at this point. Dwight Howard winning DPOY. DeJuan Blair, that's not a name I've heard in a minute. most improved, and then 70-12 in Oklahoma City. Good luck to the rest of the league. Okay, we are going to be the 3 seed here. We have the Celtics in round 1. You can see the matchup right there. Here's a full look at the standings right now. Not bad, all things considered. I think, again, it's pretty, fair in terms of where I don't think we're better than either the Bulls or the Heat. Let's go over some of the numbers right now. Scoring doesn't really, the additions we made were nice. It doesn't really, bring in a superstar first option. That did not happen. It was never anything I anticipated happening. So, if we're winning games, doesn't really matter to me who does what. You guys all know that philosophy. All right, let's get into it. Round 1 against Boston. They have Rajon Rondo at a 90. Holy shit. Okay, well, that's certainly not my favorite first-round matchup. I think they're probably a better team than us, and they are kind of going out and proving that right now. We do tie it up 2-2, though. Now we've won 3 straight. We're going to Game 7. We win the Game 7. I didn't think we were better than that Celtics team, but okay. Now moving on to another team that is almost certainly better than us here in the Miami Heat. Obviously, the Big 3 is in town, and we do have, maybe a fighter's chance. I don't really know. Okay, we do win Game 3 at home and Game 4. We now go down 3-2. Forcing Game 7 once again. Can we get back-to-back rounds, Game 7 victories? We cannot. We end up losing in the Eastern Conference semifinals this time. I will check the playoff stats just kind of round by round just to see how everybody looked. Boozer was pretty solid here, as I expected. Oh, boy. Boozer. Yeah. This was... Oh, Drew, buddy. 28% from the field throughout a 7-game series? Buddy, I love you, but come on, man. That can't happen. Oh my God, this is not great. All right, obviously entering our final offseason, we have to decide, is this, core as a whole good enough? Can we make some minor upgrades and kind of run this thing back? I honestly think the answer is no at this point. I really do. I'm not trying to, completely blow this thing up, but I also don't want to sugarcoat something that probably doesn't need to be. So we'll sim through the lottery here. At this point in time, we are going to just likely make a big move. I don't know exactly what said big move will be, but I think there definitely needs to be one happening. So no draft pick this year. We're not going to trade into the draft. Holiday will be brought. Oh, Udra actually picks up his $7.8 million option. Mo Agar was here. Okay, well, we're good. And then free agency, where I don't think we really have anybody because, right? Let me just what the fuck? Let me just double check that. Yeah, no, everybody's here. All right, there definitely still has to be a big trade. I'm going to try to find a way to add Mike Conley to this team. Now, if we were to be able to pull off this deal, I have no idea if I'd just move Drew Holiday to the 2-guard spot or if I would try to find another upgrade here in this backcourt. So, ultimately, Evan Turner was kind of always going to be the odd man out. He just really didn't develop as much as I needed him to, and obviously was one of the weaker links in this starting 5. So, him and Beno Udrih are both in this deal strictly to make the money work, and I don't know what it's going to take to get Mike Conley. Not much, apparently. Thank you very much, Memphis. So what does happen if you move Drew Holiday to the shooting guard spot? His overall stays the same. I think I still want to consider an upgrade. Now, he's still a good player, and I expect that overall would go up more, but if we can maybe add another established scorer, I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world. So just out of curiosity, if I put him in the trade finder, what are my options here? I've hated pretty much every one of these. I mean, you got Jason Richardson, who's certainly pretty solid at this point, but, is he really that much better than Drew Holiday? I mean, he's a lower overall. I don't really know who we're going to get here that really makes a lot of sense in my mind. So, maybe I consider, if I just go, just because I do think there's an upgrade out there. Hypothetically, a DeMar DeRozan. If that was any sort of possibility, I would have to consider it. I don't really want to give up any other players because I do think our depth is a really... definitely not that. I do think our depth is a really strong foundation point for this team, but it just doesn't really look like it's going to be happening here. I just don't really see this as a realistic possibility at this point. So, DeMar's not happening. Manu's 34. I mean, Brandon Roy just makes way too much money at this point. So, it's probably not going to happen. I don't really see that being something. I mean, I don't think James Harden's... He's 5 stars in value. He's actually only 4. We'd acquire $2 million. Oh, not Harris. It would be nice to get this done. Does it say he's untouchable? Yeah, he's untouchable. Okay, it's not happening. Our final move is going to be to bring in Kirk Heinrich on a 1-year deal. Of course, traded Beno Udrih in the Mike Conley deal, so we need to find ourselves a new backup point guard. So, unfortunately, I think that is going to kind of be it in terms of moves. The last thing I could kind of check if I included, I don't know, Thaddeus Young in a deal in a first-round pick. Unless it's a major upgrade at the shooting guard spot, I just don't really feel like it's worth it. Because, again, I think Drew's overall is going to continue to go up. I just don't really see this playing out any other way. I'll consider and I'll look, but again, I'm not going to force the issue completely. I think we are really close, and I do think Mike Conley helps this team a lot. So I'll see you guys at the start of year number 3. We've now arrived at the start of the final season here in Philadelphia. We ended up making another upgrade in this starting 5, adding Mike Conley to this team, and now the question remains, is it enough? Because we haven't even been to an Eastern Conference Finals yet. Now, I think this team's good enough. I have certainly won with worse, but it's all going to kind of depend on how 2K's feeling for me today. Mike Conley, Drew Holiday, Andre Iguodala, Carlos Boozer, Andrew Bogut, bench unit, Lou Will, my 6th man, Thaddeus Young, Chuck Hayes, Tobias Harris, Kirk Heinrich. It is obviously now or never. There is no denying that. And I'll see you guys at the end of our final regular season. At least in terms of the regular season, I think it's a safe thing to say that it worked, because we obviously had our best season yet at 69-13. Now I'm feeling really good at this point. I did not think this team was anything close to winning this amount of games, but 2K again surprises me every day. At this point, it's about winning a championship, though. Derrick Rose, back-to-back MVPs. Anthony Davis is a member of the Charlotte Bobcats and wins Rookie of the Year. Those jerseys are pretty sick, I'm not going to lie. David Lee coming off the bench in Golden State. You got Dwight Howard, who's now an Indiana Pacer, wins the Defensive Player of the Year. Ralph Hughes, I don't know. Mike Stauffer does win Coach of the Year for us. So, again, we're feeling good. It's just about going out there and executing to the point where we can actually get a championship. So, first time in this video, we are the one seed. Looks like a lot of these... Are you fucking kidding me? How is this my first round matchup? 2K. It's like you do something nice for me, you give me a great regular season, and then you go and get me to the playoffs and you just bend me over. I mean, good God. All right, there are the numbers kind of across the board. Again, scoring is not completely spread out, but relatively speaking, I guess. We know what this Miami team is. I don't care if you put me at the point guard spot. I find it hard to believe they're going to be an 8 seed. I really, really do. But here goes nothing in round 1. Split the first 2 at home, win game 3 on the road. Tied at 2-2, go up 3-2, win in 6. And it's not getting any easier as we have the back-to-back MVP, Derrick Rose, and the Chicago Bulls here in round number 2. So, Elton Brand actually didn't regress as much as I thought he might have, but I'm so happy with Boozer. All right, Eastern Conference semifinals, second series in a row. They definitely have the best player, but I guess we're just running them out of their own building. And the Indiana Pacers, who of course added Dwight Howard, Paul George developing quite nicely. Also have Nick Batum as the 6th man here. It's a solid squad, no denying that. We are in the East Finals for the first time in this video, and we're just kicking the shit out of everybody. Okay, awesome. And you guessed it, it's us in the Oklahoma City Thunder here, who, yeah, pretty damn good. There's not really much question there. So we do take game 1 and game 2. Okay. Up 3-2, heading to Oklahoma City for a potential closeout game on the road. I'd like to get this done. I don't do well in game 7s. Me and pressure, we're just not very good friends. So let's just close this thing out right here. What a fourth quarter. What a fourth quarter that's going to ultimately land us a championship. After outscoring Oklahoma City 26-7 here in this fourth quarter, we are now on the verge of our first championship in this video. Now, I'm comfortable. I don't think it would be mathematically possible to blow this lead, but trust me, if anybody could find a way, it would be my dumbass. So I will focus a little bit, but I guess we can also kind of chat about the Sixers in terms of, this era, at least. Obviously, this core as a whole for Philadelphia didn't last super long. They eventually got to the point where they said, screw it, we're going to intentionally tank, lose games, and of course we all know how that worked out. In hindsight, they obviously got some talented players, but of course they never got that championship that they're still searching for. So, I actually kind of wonder that at certain points. Do people consider the process a success? I feel like the obvious answer is no, but in terms of what they were trying to accomplish, which obviously, the main goal was a championship, which they never got, or at least have not yet. I don't think they probably will within the Joel Embiid era. But in terms of what they were trying to accomplish, like getting good players, drafting well, whether you want to admit it or not, Joel Embiid was a good draft pick. For the time being, Ben Simmons was a good draft pick. Again, you look at everything and the grandiose scheme of it. Markelle Fultz, probably not a good draft pick, even though I think pretty much almost every NBA GM would have took him first overall. But, when you think about those years in Philly, there was a lot of pain because there was a lot of losing. And that still really hasn't paid off. But I do think Sam Hinkie kind of accomplished what he wanted to, ultimately. So it's hard to say that, he got the complete goal, but I think he did accomplish, what his kind of, micro-level goals were. So I'm just interested to see people's opinions about it, because I think a lot of people consider it just like a huge failure, where it definitely is a failure, I would say, because they haven't won shit, and they haven't even been to a conference finals, but I think they did kind of get what they want in some aspects of it. So interesting one. We're going to be wrapping this one up here. I'll take a little 3 with Boozer. Why not? He's not going to get it, but Bogut's going to get the board. Good night. Year 3 championships are almost always my favorite. typically because it stresses the hell out of me and it makes for better content, but nonetheless, we do get that championship. Very happy we made the Mike Conley trade. I think that was kind of the turning point in this video. He ends up taking home Finals MVP. So that'll cap this one off, man. We had a really, really fun video. I thought we put together a really nice core. Ultimately, we started this thing off with an okay team and obviously built it up to a great team. So I enjoyed this one a lot. I hope you guys did as well. Of course, we still have, I think, about 14, 16, something like that of these videos to go. And of course, my biggest goal this year is to actually finish this series. So we will get to everything eventually. Again, please let me know if you noticed anything that was off in terms of the rosters or in terms of progression or anything that seemed absolutely and completely, unrealistic in terms of, what it normally looks like here. That I would definitely like to, know about before I continue using this, user-created roster. So that'll wrap this one up, though. I hope you guys enjoyed. That'll do it for me. I fucked that one up, didn't I? As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.